Wait, Gainwell or Stevenson?
Yeah.
As of today, I have Gainwell over Bucky too, but I admittedly have put the note in there that it's because it's going to shift. We're all this positive news on Judkins, all this positive news on Skattebo. Where's the positive news on Bucky Irving's health? That's I'm fair. Saying like this can move in a month or even a few weeks, but I need to hear something good about Bucky Irving's recovery.
Bucky Irving is the only guy ever who gets the quote worst shape of his life somehow.
I got weird. I will say, I don't want to be Ian Schefter here, but I did get a DM from an unnamed source saying they knew someone in the Buccaneers facility. There was just Bucky apparently really not responding well last season, the injuries, having some outbursts and stuff like that. There's just been a lot of weird vibes around Bucky Irving over the course of the last 12 months, man.
Bad vibes, Bucky?
Pat Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience presented by Underdog right now. Download the Underdog app, use code Mayo, get yourself a deposit bonus because there are millions of dollars up for grabs this NFL Best Ball season. Go check it out. Quick download, code Mayo, you're on your way. We are continuing our discussion of the running back rankings from the last show. If you missed part one where we did the top 15, top 20 or so, along with the rankings down there in the show notes, which you can find in this show as well. You can just click the link down there. You can watch the first part, come back to the second part, or just jump in right here because Jake Ciely, Ian Hartitz, this is where the sleepers are going to be this year.
This is where, I don't know. This is also an argument for the dead zone of running backs. Maybe we need to get a little bit further for the true sleepers.
Well, we're doing that and further. We're doing the rest of the running backs.
Right.
So there's gonna be some. Whether we pick the sleepers or not, I don't know, but they'll be in here somewhere, Ian.
I don't know, man. Calling like an RB23 a sleeper is like that meme from Inglourious Bastards where, he gets busted for holding up the wrong 3 fingers. So I think we got a little bit of our ways to go with the sleepers, Pat, but still plenty of big names here for sure.
I kind of disagree with that. And we don't even need to name players here. Like if you have someone who is a 6th round running back number 23 off the board, if you can identify them as a top 10 value, I would say that's a sleeper.
That's a fair way to look at it. I'd say in the fact, I think maybe if we actually change the terminology, call it underrated.
Yeah, but no one's going to click on that. No one's going to click.
I know. You're chasing the although are you doing the AEO these days, Pat, and chasing the AI engine optimization instead of the SEO as well? Because that's a whole nother thing we have to worry about.
Well, it depends on the YouTube videos versus Apple versus Spotify. Each have their own things that they want to identify. Do I care to change it? No, I do not. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to do the running back rankings. That's what the people care about. So here's what we left off with. We had tier 1, Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. Tier 2, just Christian McCaffrey. And then the rest of the running backs we ranked, we all called tier 3. So we can still add guys to this tier if you want to. It went Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown, Ashton Genty, Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Omarion Hampton, Devon Achane, Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, Jeremiah Love, Kyron Williams, Josh Jacobs is where we went. And the method that we used for this is we just throw a name, we throw them into the mix, and it's a 2-to-1 vote. Whatever way the 2 votes, that's which way the player goes in the rankings until we get a lock in on where that player is going to be ranked. So we left off talking about Travis Etienne, or Etienne, as he should be called, but still doesn't want to be called. He's getting closer, Jake, to the actual pronunciation of his name here. But what do you make of his prospects now in New Orleans with Kamara probably still in the mix? It seems high.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I'm not worried about Kamara, the talent at this point. We all seen how he played last year, and we kind of knew the end was coming at some point, especially when his usage is so much in the past game. The offense could affect him. Whether he takes a step or the rebounds, I should say, this year is kind of regardless of how I feel about this, or regardless to make up a word I hate that I just actually can't believe I did. I can't believe I did that. I don't think that's the first time in my life I've ever said irregardless. I'm done. I'm off the show. Screw this.
It's fine. Just never let it happen again.
All right. I know. So you know what? You're out. You got the Family Feud X. Cool. We're going to Ian. Ian, running back 16 off the board, pick number 32, as low as 39, high as 32 on average across a lot of redraft sites. We're talking redraft here. It just seems really high to me.
I got him RB18. Even that seems high. Guys like DeAndre Swift and even the Jadarian Prices and Bhayshul Tutens, I could just see eventually maybe moving him up. Because I'm with you, Pat. Kamara's not going anywhere. As much as we're all writing this dude off as just being old and washed, I don't know, man. Look at the last 2 seasons. Kamara's averaged 4 yards per carry. Etienne's averaged 4.1. Okay. 2024, Alvin Kamara was a top 5 fantasy running back. That happened. I understand last year wasn't cool, but it was also, unfortunately, like the 10 or 11 games where we had Spencer Rattler more so out there for Kamara with a banged up offensive line that if you look closely at those same yards before contact numbers that everyone uses to excuse Ashton Genty and Quinshon Judkins, they also applied to Alvin Kamara with the Saints as well. So look, I don't think he's going to take over from Etienne. They have 48 million reasons to feature this dude and everything. But I also don't think Etienne is a special running back at this point in his career either. Saints offense, they've made some improvements. You got Jordan Tyson in there. It was nice to see Tyler Shuck do some things, albeit against a very, very, very piss poor schedule down the stretch. I just think there's some dead zone vibes here. Like, is Etienne really going to be catching 60, 70 passes with Kamara waiting in the wings? Is this offense going to be anything better than probably below to maybe average? I don't really think so.
Where would you have him, Jake? Would you consider him a tier 3 player, or is he clearly a tier 4 player?
He's tier 4 for me. I think there's a conversation to be had that Dave Montgomery should be in front of him with the workload for the Texans, and that just vaulted the workload as inefficient as Woody Marks is. That's all anybody want to talk about this offseason, that Montgomery's now getting that workload, and I think we'd all take Montgomery over Woody Marks. I think a healthy Judkins, which they sound really positive about him, which is crazy with how bad that injury was. I think those workloads is the biggest thing. And if I didn't say a word that doesn't exist, I would have echoed a lot of what Ian just said, is that I don't think this is a situation that looks positive in any way. You're coming from the Jaguars to the Saints offense, which even if you want to wax poetically about how good the Saints were as expectations were last year, I don't think anybody would take their offense over the Jaguars. The Liam Cohen system, does it translate for Etienne, whatever? The passing game being a concern, as Ian said, I just think there's a lot of factors here where it's maybe a 55-40 split with the others sprinkled in, whether it's Miller or Devin Neal. But that being said, I don't even know that the workload is an uptick. It could be an actual downtick.
Any interest in Kamara, who is running back 50, pick 172, Ian?
He's my most drafted running back on Underdog. It doesn't feel good, guys. Like, I get it. I look at my exposure and I'm like, why are we doing this, man? But dude, he's just being left for dead out here. And everyone's
free.
Well, yeah. And for such a long time, people were just wondering if he was even going to be playing football. So I think, look, like, he was being left, again, completely free for drafts. I think he should just be around, honestly, where Woody Marks, where Tyjae Spears, where these kind of pass-catching handcuff running backs are going, more so in that RB4 range. So I think there's outs for Kamara to actually catch 50, 60 passes here, potentially, if they do want to run the 1A, 1B. Or what if Sean Payton wants to bring back his old friend to Denver, doesn't love the guys going there? What if the Kansas City Chiefs want an actual, pass-down friendly back? I'm not buying that Kamara is completely against being traded just because he got asked that in the locker room when the Saints were like 1-5 in October. It's one of those things where, like, we're holding that one statement to, like, be the pure truth, when I don't know, doesn't sound like a great locker room move for the guy to be like, yeah, I'd love to be traded, get me out of here, at all costs. So Alvin Kamara, I think he has outs as a, kind of flex with benefits handcuff in New Orleans. And as we see with pretty much anyone, if these guys get traded, Judy, Kamara, Kayshon Boutte, pretty much any of these trade candidates, we're always going to see them be rising up the ADP charts.
Cam Skattebo is next. We'll lead off tier 4 with Etienne, but he can always move down at this point. Although I guess, Ian, I should put the question to you. Josh Jacobs or Etienne?
Off the field stuff notwithstanding, I would still go Jacobs over Etienne, even with the off the field risk, I think, right now.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close, Jake.
I agree with you. I don't think it's close.
Okay, so Cam Skattebo is next up in the official average draft position when we combined all the sites, and that's taking no best ball in this, just redraft sites. So the NFFC, the FFPC, Fantrax, ESPN, NFL.com, CBS, Yahoo, it's all mixed into one with guys spiking in different spots than the other. We see that Skattebo is going right around pick number 36 to 40 is the range as running back number 19 off the board. He should come into the season with full health. But, Jake, you're going to get a few good games, obviously, at a Skattebo. We've seen that. And when he's in there, he tends to be the guy. Can he hold up here?
Yeah, he can. I mean, like, everybody's injury prone until they're not, and everybody's healthy until they suddenly have a freak injury that we didn't see coming. I mean, I think at this point there's a handful of players that'd be like, at this point it's starting to be a little bit concerning. We talked about Christian McCaffrey in the last podcast. You get 5, 6, 7 injuries to your career. That's one thing. Skattebo is still young enough. And yes, we all talk about how frustrating is how he runs because he embraces contact versus avoid it. But at the same time, Would we prefer him to be more in the outside and avoiding elusiveness? That's not who he is. Like, it's worked for Derrick Henry for years. And I know Derrick Henry is a freak of nature, and 60 pounds heavier would be my off the head, like top of my head guess, and such a bigger dude. But at the same time, like, if Skattebo just gets a little bit smarter with his head, I think that's the bigger concern. Like, the injury that happened wasn't so much the fact that he was running into contact. It was just a really bad running back injury. He's been talked up by John Harbaugh saying he's a top tier running back. You know, if you want to throw that into coach speak, coaches talk up the players all the time. The biggest question is what you said. If he plays 17 games, I do think there's a world where he reaches the RB1 back end status, mostly because I think what's really getting overlooked by the Giants is everybody wants to complain and be like, I can't believe they brought in Matt Nagy. Nagy's awful. He's going to ruin the offense. I don't know why anybody likes Jackson Dart. He also, Harbaugh, brought in Greg Roman. Greg Roman's focusing on the run game. Matt Nagy's focusing on the passing game, and you eliminate their deficiencies because they can't do the opposites. So I actually think this is a perfect marriage behind Harbaugh. So I do think there's a world where he reaches back in RB1, but it's all about the health.
Do you think, Ian, you would rather draft Skattebo where he's going, which is beginning of the 4th round, mid 4th round, late 3rd round, or if you had to have a Giants running back, just take Tracy way, way later and hope Skattebo gets hurt?
Isn't it kind of funny that Greg Roman's this run game wizard because he got to coach Lamar freaking Jackson, like the best dual threat quarterback in NFL history, who we see just pull up Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards? No, but it's Greg Roman telling Lamar to hand the ball off to these guys for sure. Also, Brian Callahan in the system as well to make the true trifecta of coaches that we all hate.
They do have
Look,
a lot.
Skattebo, he has the pass game chops. That's the one thing where he doesn't fall as cleanly into the dead zone bucket of, again, guys who were just saying, I don't know about the efficiency, but they have the volume. I don't know about the offense, but they have the volume. Skattebo does separate from guys like Montgomery, where it's like, okay, he could actually catch 50, 60 passes. And hey, last year didn't start till week 4 and actually did have top 10 numbers in terms of PPR points per game. So we can see it, but I just worry, guys, because as much as he should be out there by week 1, okay, I think there's a difference between being out there in week 1 and being anywhere close to 100%. We had the Tony Pollard broken fibula, a similar injury a couple years ago, where he said he didn't feel right until like week 12 or 13 or whatever it was. Chris Godwin, Dak Prescott, like we've seen guys come back from this injury, but then not look anywhere near 100%. So just a lot of red flags for me, man. I don't have him necessarily ranked too much lower, but when we're kind of looking away from the running back ranks and the more overall ranks, I mean, I was sitting in helping host one of these FFPC drafts recently. End of round 4, Cam Skattebo. I don't know, man. There's some really good wide receivers going around that range. I'm kind of inclined to let someone else take this dude this year.
Well, if we talk about that a little bit and we just kind of scroll down to try to find where are we at here? 12-team leagues. We'll go to Superflex and we'll take a look at where guys are.
Superflex.
Yeah, we can look at whatever you want to look at here. What would you prefer to look at?
A normal one quarterback draft league? I don't know.
All right. Okay. So we'll just go down to Skattebo. And where do we have? Cam Skattebo.
Let's use Superflex in our running back.
I mean, it came for everybody. It came from Greg Roman, like he didn't have anything to do with the 49ers backfield or the Chargers backfield or the Bills backfield. Although, wasn't that LaShawn McCoy at that time? So, but that was bad LaShawn McCoy at that time. That was after Eagles LaShawn McCoy. Anyway, go ahead. You choose whatever rankings you want.
Any coach whose calling card is like, I'm going to have my running back. That's the same thing that freaking Dable did. I'm not giving Brian Dable credit for having Jackson Dart and Josh Allen run around like madmen. Sue me.
No. But it's the scheme. And that's my whole point is everybody's talking about.
The scheme is Lamar Jackson. He is the scheme. He is the scheme.
We're ignoring every other team he schemed for. Every other team.
Tyrod Taylor, another running quarterback. Justin Herbert, another.
Colin Kaepernick, another running quarterback as well for Greg Roman.
Thank you.
But Jackson Dart kind of is. Yeah, I believe Roman was the OC the year that they lit up the Packers in the playoffs. I believe so. I could be wrong about that.
I think Colin Kaepernick was that long ago.
Yeah.
That way he just told Colin Kaepernick to be the most athletic guy in the field. Just special schematic, right? Stuff right there.
Hey, LaShawn McCoy had that one snow game in Buffalo when he rushed for 230 yards.
If it's snowing, LaShawn McCoy is the 101 of all players.
So for reference here, Cam Skattebo, pick number 42 in drafts. Other guys going around that range, Ladd McConkey, Egbuka, Colston Loveland is there, Tet McMillan, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Jalen Waddle, Luther Burden, Lamar Jackson.
Keep going. I want them all.
Yeah. I'm actually with Ian so far. Keep going.
But those are just the players just slightly ahead and slightly behind him. Devontae Adams. I'm not mentioning any of the running backs that are currently going in this range, too, because that's part of this show. Tyler Warren. Jamison Williams. Yeah. DJ Moore is going at pick number 58. That seems really low. I can't wait to do wide receivers.
People hate DJ Moore.
See, there is a guy who, listen, he could absolutely bust or pay off like right around where he is. But if you told me that like one of these mid-range wide receiver guys could be a top 10 wide receiver, DJ Moore completely fits that bill.
100%. And everybody keeps telling me, they're like, oh, well, Stephon Diggs is the argument for him. But Stephon Diggs is not DJ Moore. And you're right. Guess what, though? If you look at what works in the Bills' offense, I know we're not doing the wide receiver show, but you can tell I spent a lot of time defending DJ Moore. I have him inside my top 20, is the fact that DJ Moore started playing more of a big slot-ish type of role, which is what this offense in the Bills run. And it's kind of similar to the Sean Payton offense. So this is actually a great fit, even though truthfully isn't Stephon Diggs.
Like, I mean, at the same time, though, like we love Ben Johnson. We think he's one of the smartest offensive minds in the league. And DJ Moore wasn't a good fit with that guy.
I don't think he was a good fit for that offense, honestly. I don't. I actually think he's a better fit with the Bills.
Yeah, because he doesn't run clean routes, so that's just awesome for another situation. Look at every single wide receiver
slot
the Bills
versus what he was doing
in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I actually do think it's a better with this wide receiver show. We're going to differ on that one, clearly.
We will.
So, Skattebo, would you go Etienne or Skattebo?
Etienne.
Etienne.
I would go Skattebo. So you guys are both going Etienne?
Yeah.
No, I was going to go Skattebo above him. All right, let's move on then. TreVeyon Henderson.
I don't even care. If you want Skattebo, I'm okay with it.
No, listen, we're doing it's democracy, Jake. We're doing a vote. This is how the rankings work. It's how we're doing it this year. To get the consensus ranks between all of us is the only way that we can do it. TreVeyon Henderson is pick number 45 at the high end, 54 at the low end. That's running back number 20. People are expecting him to be as good as he was for those like 2 games when he was good last year. And I guess Rhamondre Stevenson is dead. So this, again, like when you identify the dead zone at running back, where these guys are going, to me at least, and listen, I'm wrong on this stuff all the time, they don't seem all that dissimilar than guys going 25 picks later, honestly.
I think that's the biggest thing, is that I have a giant tier. Like when we finish this, like when we start talking about Etienne and you go all the way down to, in my ranks, you have like RJ Harvey at 26, which all of a sudden people don't want him and left him for dead now. But
you have Harvey RB 26?
Okay, here's my question back to you. Is that high or low? Save that for when we get there. And that's my question, is like everybody's is that high? So, see? Like there you go. So anyway, point being is I have about 11 running backs in this tier, where your point being, Pat, is that if you agree with Ian or you agree with me or agree with you, I don't think the biggest thing here is that I need to take any of them. I can take a wide receiver here and wait around. So to talk specifically about Henderson, I'm okay with it. There's a few running backs we haven't even mentioned that I would put in front of him, mostly because everybody talks about how explosive he was and how great he was. Guess what? More yards per touch, yards per reception, fantasy points per, like everything at the back half of the season, Stevenson was doing better, including all these explosive numbers we want to give Henderson. And I'm not saying that Henderson can't be better. I would take the talent of Henderson at this point of their careers over Stevenson. I just don't think Stevenson should be ignored as a non-factor, where this backfield is probably still closer to 50-50 than people want to give it.
That's where I'm at with this, Ian, that it feels like it's still probably 50-50. And if you had to hold a gun to my head, don't do that. But week 1, Rhamondre is going to be the guy getting the touches. And if he's healthy, week 16, Rhamondre is probably going to be the guy getting the first touches. Just they continued to let him play through his fumbleitis last year.
Yeah. I mean, even low-key, Antonio Gibson was getting some snaps above TreVeyon even before he unfortunately tore his ACL and was out for the season. We'll always have that cool kick return where we had the picture of Vrabel running down the sideline, though. The one surprising thing here for me, because I just remembered Rhamondre completely snatching TreVeyon's chain in the playoffs. I mean, it was 71% versus 31% snaps. I think TreVeyon, the AFC Championship, played like 3 or 4 total plays. 14, though, regular season games together. I'm not including the ones where Rhamondre was out. It was only 162 to 158 in favor of Rhamondre Stevenson. So I just personally didn't remember the touches being that close between the guys. Again, saw the big playability from TreVeyon. The big thing, as someone who unfortunately was one of those idiot alleged fantasy experts telling you guys to draft TreVeyon too damn early last year, I was just shocked we didn't see more from him in the pass game. You could not go a single day last August without hearing about the beat reporters talking about TreVeyon catching another wheel downfield and doing all these great things catching the ball. And that's been our source for fantasy goodness under the Josh McDaniels McDaniel's offenses, the James Whites of the world, and all these guys going back years and years and years. So to see Rhamondre actually taking more of that work, that was a surprise to me. Some of the early stuff from OTAs makes it seem like they would like to get TreVeyon more involved in that facet of the game. I think that's where this ranking ends up being fine for TreVeyon. Rhamondre is not going away, but if we get 50-50 where it's more so Rhamondre early down work, TreVeyon now getting a chance to be that explosive pass catcher that he really was more so at Ohio State, that's where this ranking looks fine. So I haven't been going out of my way for him, but man, when you start getting like to round 6, it's one of those things, Pat, where post-hype breakout, I think, like, it's just, even if we can't crystallize it that much right now in July, like these players where everyone was so high on last year and now they're kind of brushing off. I just think there could be some nice, potential for TreVeyon surprise.
There could be, but I think so many things need to go right for him in order to really outperform where he's being drafted. Whereas Jake kind of mentioned, there's a few guys after this where they might not be better, but their pathway to being way better is there. And a lot of it's just based on volume, because what's a better pick right now? TreVeyon Henderson with the first pick of the 5th round, which is where he's going on average in 12-team leagues, or Rhamondre Stevenson at pick 9 in the 7th round?
Stevenson at that value.
I think so too. Yeah. That gap seems too big.
That, like what the path being, and Ian brought it up too, is that what it took last year is that we also snaps from other running backs. If Stevenson was to be hurt week 1, like, would it really be Henderson all of a sudden 70% of the workload, or would the Patriots continue to Patriot? And it's still 60, which is great. But, like, do we get to RB1? I think people remember the great with Henderson and never, like, focus on how many things actually went wrong. I thought Ian was going to also throw out the fact that all the beat writers kept talking the best pass blocker in the draft, best pass blocker in the draft. He's going to be on the field. And then, oh, God, he actually kind of struggled quite a bit as a pass blocker in his rookie season.
Let me check out Diana Rossini's Twitter to see if she has any notes about this.
Wow.
Jake, it is like, that is the biggest thing though, because everyone, and even the best and sharpest NFL draft minds, and just anyone that likes watching college football, you could see everything that TreVeyon did so good past pro.
Yeah.
College, but then we get into the big boy league and it's not quite as easy. But that is the other case. This was a rookie in his first year. It is legal, I believe, for these guys to get better the more time they spend in the pros.
Would you go Henderson or Skattebo?
Skattebo.
Henderson.
I'll say Skattebo. Would you go Rhamondre or Henderson?
I would still go Henderson.
All right.
Higher ceiling.
All right, so we're building tier 4. It's just Etienne, Skattebo, Henderson, Stevenson for the moment, because those are the only 4 people that we've talked about so far. If there's one thing I've learned over the past few years, it's that getting good sleep is the biggest performance enhancer of them all. I've had my Helix mattress for years now, and it's honestly held up just as well as the day it arrived. It's supportive, comfortable, and I don't wake up with stiffness that I used to get on my old mattress. And even better, I sleep through the night instead of tossing and turning and getting too hot. And that's made a huge difference in how I feel every morning, because I gotta get to sleep early, because I gotta get up early with this newborn running around. Not really running, more or less sitting like a baked potato, but still, he gets up early, so I gotta get up early. And if you're thinking about upgrading your sleep setup before the busy season ramps up, Helix has more than 20 different mattress models, including cooling upgrades for those hot summer nights. So there's something that fits exactly what you need. Plus, every mattress comes with a 120-night sleep trial, a limited lifetime warranty, and the Happy with Helix guarantee, so there's really no risk. And you can head over to helixsleep.com/mayo to get an extension on the 4th of July sale, still 27% off. And that's exclusive to you at helixsleep.com/mayo. And after you check out, make sure you enter my show name so they know that I sent you. Listen, every year, right around the Masters, I tell myself, this is the year I'm going to become an outdoor person. Then reality hits. The patio furniture looks like it's been through a US Open setup, and it's nowhere as comfortable to sit as I want, and somehow I end up watching golf inside while perfectly good weather sits there through my window. So this year, I finally fixed that with Wayfair. I'm watching golf outside, checking the final rounds. It's awesome, because the weather's heating up right now. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that I've used my backyard more in the past few months than I did the few previous years combined. I'm upgrading the seating, added some lighting, got some actual decor out there, and now it's become the place where I have coffee in the morning, dinner with family, and inevitably end up watching the late golf window while pretending I'm keeping an eye on the kids when I'm really just watching golf. Because I'm here working for you, all right? The one thing I tell anyone to buy immediately, an outdoor sectional from Wayfair. It's the Scotty Scheffler of patio purchases, but it's not going to let you down on the 72nd hole. It'll be there for you all the way, more like Scotty from the past 2 years. It's expensive enough that you think about it for a while, then once you have it, you realize it was obviously the right decision. And if you've never shopped Wayfair before, I tell you to stop making this harder than it needs to be. They got everything. You can check millions of reviews from actual customers, use Wayfair Verified to cut through the nonsense, and they even have assembly options available so you don't spend your entire Saturday afternoon trying to put together patio furniture while yelling at an Allen key. Patio season is here, and these deals won't last. Ready to upgrade your home for way less? Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home and get your space ready for less. That's WAYFAIR.com. Let's talk about something no one in endurance sports likes to admit. You can be training your ass off, cardio, stress, not recovering properly, and yeah, it can mess with your performance everywhere, because it all comes back to blood flow. Most guys jump straight to pills. That's just treating the symptom. The real key is nitric oxide. That's what controls circulation, endurance, and yeah, performance. That's why Joy Mode actually makes sense. It's a natural booster that supports nitric oxide production, not the fake pixie dust stuff. Just tear open a packet, mix it like an electrolyte drink, and you are good to go. Use it when you need it, or use it daily to raise your baseline. Think of it like training. One dose helps, consistency changes everything. If you want to support sexual performance the same way you support training and recovery, naturally and intelligently, Joy Mode has a deal for my listeners. Go to tryjoymode.com/Mayo or enter Mayo at checkout for 20% off. Joy Mode, the electrolyte packet for your dick. DeAndre Swift is up next. You got Monangai still, doing his thing, trying to usurp this job. DeAndre Swift can never die. Unless you cut his head off like Highlander, Ian, he will never go away.
You sure that even works?
Has never had a season worse than RB24 in PPR points per game. Even some of the stuff that he was being more so, I think, fairly criticized for, being more of a home run hitter, but you're getting 10 straight carries of like 2 yards in between it. He was one of the best running backs in success rate last year, which everyone will just give credit to Ben Johnson, the O-line, because no one ever wants to give DeAndre Swift any credit, but had a good season for himself. And just on the surface, like, we love the Bears offense. We do think DeAndre Swift has explosive, good pass catching ability. We love that. He's clearly the RB1. I mean, even after Monangai, good job going off against the Bengals, like, joined the freaking list. It was still very much so the DeAndre Swift show down the stretch. And then it's just looking at the, again, overall situation. Like, I have DeAndre Swift ahead of TreVeyon Henderson. He's my RB19 overall. I think Swift versus Etienne is a very, very interesting call, because do we really think Etienne is that much? Oh, God, I'm pissing myself off saying that. You really think Etienne is that much of a better running back than Swift? I don't, and we certainly love everything about the Bears offense more than the Saints.
I would tend to agree almost with everything Ian said, Jake, that I would rather have Swift than Etienne. Yeah.
I think the concern here is, like, I feel like Swift is basically Jarvis Landry at running backs. You just know what you're getting. Like, where's the ceiling? And I think that's why some people aren't taking him higher. Like, I'm not arguing that you shouldn't take Swift. I'm just saying I think that's where the perception's coming, why he's here, and that because he's always just been more solid than great, and we saw that the potential for a 70% workload throughout his career, similar to our Lamar Miller conversation, Pat, is that, like, he can't do it. Like, he actually becomes less efficient. I think that's why everybody looks at Swift and says, where's the path to being an RB1? On the flip side, they say the path to Etienne being an RB1 is that Kamara is a non-factor, or the path to Henderson is that the talent wins through. And I think some people are concerned that Monangai becomes kind of the 50, like the old Steelers, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, and they kick Swift into the Warren rule. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just trying to present all these scenarios of why I think his ADP is depressed.
So Swift is going as high as 46 in the FFPC, which is a high stakes redraft league. And on ESPN, he's going as low as 62. So the signal there would be that the sharper players putting up big money early are actually investing in Swift, where the more casual players for less money are not, which should tell you something.
It should. Take Swift.
Monangai is going pick number as high as 84, as low as 110. So running back 33, he's way down on this list right now. Would you rather have Monangai or Stevenson?
Stevenson.
Yeah, me too. Would you rather have DeAndre Swift or Cam Skattebo?
Swift.
It's a toss up for me. I'm going to lean slightly Skattebo just because the ceiling. That's the thing, is the path it touches.
Ian?
Swift.
He said Swift.
Okay, I'm going to take Swift as well. Let's go. Then we'll go back up. Etienne or Swift? I'll go Swift.
Let's go Swift.
All right. So DeAndre Swift.
Etienne.
So where would you go? Henderson or Swift, Jake?
I would go Swift barely over Henderson by one spot, but that's the thing, is I'm still in my same tier. So
we're still on tier 4, but DeAndre Swift is now the king of tier 4 as we put our consensus votes together on this front. Quinshon Judkins, another guy coming off of an injury, is up next. I don't really know how good this Browns offense is going to be, but Jay, he was good last year. He looked good. I don't know if the explosion rates and the advanced metrics rate out really all that well for him, but you gave this guy the ball and he just went with it and just broke off some huge plays.
He did, but if you look, this is one of those ones where if you watch Judkins versus just looking at the numbers, you're going to get two different stories, because if you look at his yards per carry, you're going to be like, oh, it wasn't that good. He must have been volume reliant. But then you watch Judkins and you're like, wow, he's doing everything he can and more on this terrible team. And the fact is, he scored 7 touchdowns in 14 games, which I think they only had 10 rushing touchdowns. It's 10 or 11, somewhere around there for the season. So that's the biggest question, is like, throw the quarterback situation aside. Like, it's still going to be a bad offense. Can Judkins produce enough in a bad offense? We talk about it a lot, how hard it is for a running back to be an RB1 in the bottom 10 offense, let alone top 5. Almost never happens. So he's in the conversation. We're talking about RB2s. It's fine. I'm good with him here because I think he could be a bell cow workload. I think also something, a perception of Judkins is that he's a better pass catcher than people realize, but he's on the Browns. Like, I'm not that worried about Dylan Sampson if he's 100%. I'm not that worried about Rocket Sanders if he's 100%. I think the question is, he's 100%. Everything right now, I know we're in the middle of best shape of our lives. Injuries don't matter. Nothing's bad. Everything's great. And they are talking positively about Judkins being ready for week 1. I just don't know if I'm ready to take that risk, because I want to see that he looks 100% versus just all these reports saying it feels like he is.
There's a few guys here, Ian, who have legitimate shots at being a bell cow. Judkins is one of those guys. And in this tier, that's where I would want to gamble.
Yeah, I just think that, again, we hate the offense. We're hoping the volume works out. We don't really think he's going to be catching passes. More so probably going to be on Dylan Sampson's plate. I just think that kind of screams dead zone running back. And then we have the injury thing where, just like Skattebo, okay, Judkins should be back out there by week 1, but I don't think there's going to be anyone to blame but us if he is looking far less than 100% at that point. So I agree with you guys. Like, he looked good last year, and he also, I believe, like him and Kenneth Walker, I think, were the only running backs with over 100 yards taken back by penalties. So wasn't exactly getting, the most lucky breaks time to time as well there. But it's just, I don't really expect the offensive situation to change. And we saw it in the first 6 or so weeks he was playing. He was just balling out, ripping off these big runs, like making the most out of it in a bad situation. And then he was like an RB3 down the stretch because it was the Browns. So 45% of his carries last year had 8+ defenders in the box. No other running back was even at 40%. So it really isn't Judkins. Like, it's not his fault for me. It's just everyone else. I got him RB25, not someone I'm going on my way for.
So
actually, let's push back real quick. I actually think he'll be better in the passing game than people realize. He was targeted over 20% of his routes that he ran last year. Now,
he's capable.
That was with Sanders. Like, so if it's Watson, does Watson see him in the same vein? I think that's a concern too. There's just a lot of ifs here.
That was one of the easier underdog pick'em plays for most weeks last year, because they kept setting his line at 0.5 receptions because, if the first few games they did not throw to him at all. Then all of a sudden it'd be like 2, 3. It's like, okay. He can stand there and catch a 2-yard pass. Not a big deal. But you talked about, Ian, how terrible this offense is going to be. I agree. Who is your most drafted wide receiver?
Hey, that ADP thing matters, Patrick. So yeah, Jerry Jeudy down at the very bottom. But hey, when Jerry Jeudy gets traded to the Kansas City Chiefs here in week 6, we'll see who's laughing.
Where do you think Ayuk ends up going? Because the Chiefs, Dolphins, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be Washington at this point.
Nowhere. I legit don't think it's anywhere at this point.
He's trolling Washington, but I don't know. I'm way less confident than I was like a month ago. I'll say that.
I really don't think. I mean, you can't sit there and be like, well, I'm never going back to California, so you can't serve your bench warrant on me. Well, then what? Well, you're just not going to play for a team that plays anybody in California at this point? Like this dude is masterclass 101 on how to tank your career and throw away millions.
Is that a TED Talk that was given by Antonio Brown?
I was going to say, he's like, yeah, he's now the new professor. He adjunct underneath Antonio Brown to take his job.
I drafted Josh Gordon for a decade. I kept going after Deontay Johnson. Like, this is nothing. I'm used to being in these fires, Keep doing your thing, Ayuk. I'm right here taking you in round 18.
Look, Josh Gordon was fine. He just smoked weed.
Yeah.
He wasn't like
honestly,
he wasn't a problem guy.
I was just about to say, honestly, if Josh Gordon was playing today, he probably doesn't have most of his problems.
Absolutely.
What has Ayuk actually done? Yeah, he should not drive his car as fast as he's driving it, and he's being a knucklehead on social media because the Niners haven't released him. It's not like he's, I don't think, a terrible human being.
He never played for the 49ers because he never went to rehab and never got 100%, which is why they were able to void his deal. Like, teams are looking at that, and then everything he's doing on social media, like, I don't want to deal with it. You're not even Antonio Brown.
Yeah, that's it. If you're Antonio
the 49ers
Brown.
medical staff deserve the benefit of the doubt.
No, they do not.
Yes.
It's
not their fault. They're next to a power generator.
Yeah, maybe he soaked up all the energy into his mind and it's made him crazy. Maybe that's what's going on. So where do we put Judkins? Would you rather have Skattebo or Judkins? Because I think that they're similar sides of the same coin here. I would go Skattebo because I do think the receiving offense and touchdown equity is much higher.
Yeah, the offense tiebreaker. Yeah.
Henderson or Judkins?
Judkins.
I'm going to say Judkins. So Judkins is going to go one spot after Cam Skattebo. Any love for Sideshow Raheem or Dylon Morris? Or Dylon Sampson, sorry?
No, I was going to push back again on Ian. It's like, and again, it's just only one beat reporter. And I am somebody that always says, I want to hear from multiples, but there's one that I really trust, and it has nothing to do with, I work at The Athletic with him. It's just
Action Jackson.
Zach Jackson, like he said, there's two things he said about this team. Is he thinks if healthy, Judkins will be a bell cow. And then he was the one that said that Fannon's going to lead this team in targets this year.
Well, that shouldn't be shocking. The guy that runs 4-yard routes is going to have the most receptions on a team with a quarterback who can't throw 20 yards. Yeah.
No, but it's encouraging to hear that because they do have 17 wide receivers now. That's just
is Chigo Kongwo going to be the Harold Fannin of Washington?
It's quite possible. I mean, because if Ayuk doesn't end up there, their number 2 is Antonio Williams as a rookie at this point.
I got my favorite late round tight ends are Kincaid, Likely, and Chig. All kind of the same mold where it's like you'd like to think if they can get this full-time role, big things can happen. Chig and Likely at least got paid like they're going to get one.
Yeah, and
I like that, Ian.
And
Kincaid and Likely both in my breakout tight end article from this week.
Let's go, Jake. Look at us.
There you go.
We will not stand for this Theo Johnson slander.
Dable's off in Tennessee now. That's why I want nothing to do with Gunnar Helm. They have 3 wide receivers, plus he brought over Bellinger, which is going to just annoy the crap out of people.
David Montgomery is in Houston now. Have we had a report in the last 8 months on Joe Mixon, or is he just dead?
I don't know. Can you hold up like a newspaper?
I was gonna say, like, is he with Tupac or something? Like, what's going on here?
I can't remember a time where, like, we were having this conversation around this time last year. It's like, oh yeah, Joe Mixon, maybe running back 14, 15. And then we started getting closer to the season. Like, anyone heard about Joe Mixon, this injury?
Weren't you the one or something? There was that whole speculation. It was purely rumor, but the whole speculation that it was actually something like involving a gun that he owned or something like that. Like they actually think, no, seriously, like there was some kind of story.
It wasn't a gun though. It was something about an injury. Like he got hurt doing something really weird, and then like he lost his leg.
Yeah, I thought it was a Plaxico Burress situation, but maybe not. But it was something weird, and like that's why like they kept saying that the Texans just pushed it under the rug, and that's why we never heard anything.
Yeah, maybe that ended up being the case, but it doesn't sound like he's coming back this year.
No.
So it's
I don't know he plays for anybody at this point.
So it's David Montgomery and Woody Marks. David Montgomery is firmly in that like late stage Frank Gore type situation where almost a lot of what you said about DeAndre Swift, Jake, I think could apply to David Montgomery. That I think he's going to get you fantasy points. It's just not going to be a lot in any single week.
I think it's just going to be steady Eddie for the entire year. And I actually have him over like basically most of the people we've talked about. I am a top 20 running back because I go back to, again, everything that possibly went wrong for the Texans last year, including the offensive line. But there's we sit here and talk about other teams about offensive lines being improved for the Raiders. We just talked about it with the first Chenty situation in the first show, and everything with the Texans. And I go back to the Woody Marks. It was one of the most efficient performances by a running back in the past 5 to 10 years. And yet Marks was putting up RB2 numbers because he was getting so much work. And the big thing about Montgomery, too, is that he can be a pass catcher where there's big questions about Marks and using the other pieces. And they signed him to this contract. I want to make it clear. I think your Swift comparisons really well because we know Montgomery. We've seen Montgomery with bell cow workload, and he never gets to RB1 status. It's almost kind of like he's putting up 25% better numbers, but a little less efficiency. But I would just take that workload. 300 potential touches on the Texans offense that we expect to be better this year. Hell, 300 touches on most offenses. I would just take him. And he's one of the best at converting touchdowns still.
As high as 47, as low as 63, running back number 23. For reference, Woody Marks in this offense, Ian, is going as running back number 44, as high as 137, as low as 147.
Yeah, man, I don't want to be the boy who cried dead zone every single running back we talk about, but we're just hoping the volume works out in an offense that, again, in our heart of hearts, Pat, we went through and tried to rank, all 32 offenses. Guess what? The Texans were closer to 32 than one. Every year, it's like they just keep shuffling out one bad offensive lineman with another unknown entity as well. Again, a good tweet recently from a Football Insights at @FBall_insights, where they took basically like 6 different good sources for like offensive line ranks. Texans came in at 28. So again, it's one of those things where, yeah, maybe they improve a little bit, but they have a long way to go from, again, complete dog shit to anything that's going to be helping a 29-year-old running back now on his 3rd team. So no shame in getting beat out by Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not trying to completely slander the guy. I do see a scenario where there's a lot of leading game script. That Texas defense is ferocious, but I've kind of done a 180 on Montgomery as I've just gone more and more. It's like, do we really think we're going to be sitting back here in December going, oh, thank God I took David Montgomery in round 5. Like, that's the reason why I'm in my championship. Steady Eddie is fine, but I don't know with a top 60 pick.
I get the point that you're making about the overall upside, and fantasy leagues are very rarely one, Jake, from this sort of player. Although when you try to draft the player that will win you leagues, you tend to lose them far more often than not. That's kind of the balance that you need to strike. That Ian's right. Like, he's not going to be, and you kind of said the same thing. He's not going to be a top 10 running back. It's just not going to happen. Right. Your best case scenario here is probably with full health running back 14. Because of touchdowns and volume, and that's with overall points, and which you would take on your team. The problem might be the opportunity cost of the other guys in this range who do have that explosive upside. One of the 7 are going to hit, but you need to draft that one if you want to win.
Yep. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think the argument that you started this with that we made for Swift is the same argument that I would make for Montgomery. More rushes than receptions than like Swift, but you go back to the 2 out of 3 years at the end of the Bears season, which the last one, I think that's what's fresh in people's mind is the last Bears season and then the last season that we just saw with the Lions. And I don't even include the first 2 years with the Lions because we know how good their offense was, but the 2 years with the Bears, and I know we're going back 5 years at this point, but 270 to 300 touches in those 2 seasons, and he was at 14, 15 fantasy points per game. Do I think he's going to get to that? No, but you give me 12 on those touches, 12 points per game, you're going to be a top 20 running back. It's just, no, he doesn't have the RB1 ceiling.
And I do think that there's a distinction between he and Swift, although that we've compared them, is that Swift plays in the much better offense. Therefore, I feel to me like the ceiling is just so much higher.
Right.
Although they probably end up with identical fantasy points. Just the theoretical fantasy points are off the charts with DeAndre Swift. So if we take Montgomery, I would throw him into the Judkins bucket. I think they're similar in what you expect to get from them, and I would rather have David Montgomery than Judkins.
Agreed.
Yep. Agreed.
Would anyone go Montgomery over Skattebo?
Yes.
I got Scott.
What'd you say? You got Scat? I got Scat.
I got Skattebo.
All right, the Scat man, Ian Hartitz over here, loves the Scat.
That fucking song.
Yeah.
If you want to find Ian's full rankings, because you agree with him, hit the show notes. You can find them all over at RotoWire right now, along with at OddsJam. Jake, you can find all of his rankings if you're a Jake Ciely guy up at theathletic.com right now. Hit the show notes. You can find links directly to both down there right now. Highly encourage you to do it. All right? Who's next? Bucky Irving is next. Kenneth Gainwell was also brought in for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming over from Pittsburgh. This thing that we have with Gainwell in our minds now with those huge games that he was posting down the stretch for the Steelers, Ian, is that giving us a discount on Bucky Irving?
Steelers team MVP, Kenneth Gainwell, lest we forget everyone, as voted upon by the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. So look, Gainwell, I don't want to overhype it because let's face it, like Rachaad White has the 3rd most receptions among any running back over the last 4 years. I know some of that didn't have Bucky involved with it, but like I don't think Gainwell being there over Rashad White is necessarily this newfound major obstacle for Bucky, but the fact that this dude is taking so long to get back from that shoulder injury and obviously coming off his other, but he had the other injury that kind of sidelined him as well, ankle or whatever it was at the time. So had the multiple injuries, and that's why his efficiency numbers went from like literally first in the league to down there with the worst running back. So I'm not necessarily holding that against him, but to me, this just screams average, likely an average offense with a running back who could very well just be in that dreaded between the 20s role where Kenneth Gainwell's coming in, leading the team in targets, even if Bucky is capable enough there. And then the goal line stuff, like we don't see too many teams actively take out their starter on the goal line, but the Bucs were one of them last year. 0 carries, guys. All of us had as many carries from inside the 5 as Bucky Irving last year. Sean Tucker had 9. So I have not been clicking Bucky. It's just a situation where like you're asking him to be, whenever we're asking someone, we don't have the volume, we don't necessarily love the offense, and we just need him to be averaging 5.5 yards per carry and functioning as one of the best running backs in the league, man. Not someone I'm going on my way for.
Jake, right now, he is going running back number 24, as high as 47, as low as 58. So the dispersion on him versus some of the other running backs in that range is a lot tighter. He's just kind of going where he's going across all sites. No one is reaching for him. No one's letting him drop. It's just you get to midway through the 5th round. It's like, yeah, I guess I'll take Bucky Irving.
Yeah, we also have 5-ish, it looks like, in my ranks before we even get to Bucky Irving, who I have back-to-back with Kenneth Gainwell. The one thing I'll throw on that as well is that Zach Robinson, now calling the plays there, stretch zone, which Kenneth Gainwell has been one of the best running backs in the NFL in this kind of scheme. So all that being said, why I present that is because if Bucky Irving is 100%, I don't think he's getting the workload like he used to get before he got hurt last year, because again, the Gainwell factor. I actually think this is another one where we could go back to looking like it's just the Steelers from last year with Warren and Gainwell. So that's really what it comes down to, is like, I think Bucky Irving has the ceiling. Bucky Irving 100%, I would move him up my ranks, but I wouldn't put him back inside like the top 15 or anything, just because I don't think Gainwell is going to completely go away. You have Robinson taking over and they signed Gainwell. It's just the fit in this offense. I think they're going to utilize him at least 35% of the time.
Bucky Irving or David Montgomery?
Montgomery.
Judkins.
Every guy we've talked about, I have ahead of.
Even what about Rhamondre or Bucky Irving?
Okay.
I got Bucky.
Okay. So
not Bucky that much, though.
Yeah.
So you would go Henderson over Bucky Irving as well?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. And what about Kenneth Gainwell? Would you go Kenneth Gainwell or Rhamondre Stevenson?
As of today, I go, Gainwell or Stevenson?
Yeah.
As of today, I have Gainwell over Bucky too, but I admittedly have put the note in there that, it's because it's going to shift. We're all this positive news on Judkins, all this positive news on Skattebo. Where's the positive news on Bucky Irving's health? That's I'm fair. Saying, like, this can move in a month or even a few weeks, but I need to hear something good about Bucky Irving's recovery.
Bucky Irving is the only guy ever who gets the quote worst shape of his life somehow.
I got weird. I will say, I don't want to be Ian Schefter here, but I did get a DM from an unnamed source saying they knew someone in the Buccaneers facility. There was just Bucky apparently really not responding well last season, the injuries, having some outbursts and stuff like that. There's just been a lot of weird vibes around Bucky Irving over the course of the last 12 months, man.
Bad vibes Bucky? That's his new name?
You're gifted with words sometimes, Pat. I'll give you that.
All right, so I don't want any bad vibes on my fantasy team. So would you go Bucky Irving or Rhamondre? We said Irving over Stevenson. Would you go, Jake is going Gainwell over Bucky. Would you go Gainwell over Bucky, Ian?
Not quite. The only thing with Gainwell is I just wonder if he's in this offense with Sean Tucker being the early down guy. Maybe I'm giving Tucker a little too much credit, but I just worry with Gainwell, like even if Bucky got injured and was out of the picture, it's more of like a 50-50 split. Last year when Jaylen Warren got injured for that, like 9:30 England game or whatever, it was just the Kenneth Gainwell show. They still did not give a single damn about Caleb Johnson. I don't think that's going to be the case here in Tampa Bay.
So would you go Rhamondre or Gainwell?
Rhamondre.
Jake?
Gainwell.
Same tier.
I would go with Stevenson as well. I'm guessing that we're going to say Gainwell in front of Monangai because,
Yes.
So Monangai's probably not even a part of this tier. And these guys might not even be a part of this tier once we do the tier breakdown. Next guy, King Tuten. Ian, your guy is right here.
My guy this year. I'm a 2026 Tuten guy. I got him top 20. Let's go.
So this was the name that I knew that we were going to get to at some point. That when you think about the picks that could just go so disastrously wrong, Jake, from this range, I feel like he is a part of that conversation. But the ones that could go completely right, and you were just, oh yeah, it just turns out he's going to get 80% of the workload in an offense that's really good and catch passes. Like this, Tuten is a guy that could be a top 10 running back this year. Is he? That's probably like a 10% outcome. But he's firmly in the discussion to be one of those guys that makes the big leap.
Absolutely, because if he gets the Etienne workload, you're talking about a potential RB1, and that's really what it comes down to. And I have Tuten behind Ian. I'm not quite as high, mostly because I do think Rodriguez is going to be a factor. That being said, the assumption that people are making that Rodriguez being a factor means he's getting all the goal line work. Tuten got the goal line work last year with Etienne and actually was quite good at it. So I don't think that even if he seeds some, it's going to be all of it. I think he'll still get some opportunities inside the 5. But really, if you even said Tuten was getting 250 and not 300 like Etienne just had, we're still talking about a strong RB2 that probably pushes more of the top 20 than the fringe RB2 conversation.
Chris Rodriguez, Ian, was dealing with this foot injury. They say that he's going to be fine for week 1, but it does seem like this is something that he's had a few times over the years. So I don't know what's really going on with him.
Another little birdie told me it might have been even a Lisfranc injury, Pat, which obviously is not something that we want to see from running backs in the middle of the summer. So, look, I think there's a lot of similarities between Bhayshul, Tuten, and what we saw with Chase Brown. Day 3 running back and a good ascending offense with veteran running backs where we say, okay, well, they could limit him, but will they really do it down the stretch? I understand Zach Moss was limiting Chase until he got hurt in 2024, and you can do a little bit with the Samaje Perine stuff last year, but I think that was overblown. But I just think that when you look at Tuten, he's got some of these good advanced stats that, again, all of us fantasy nerds like to point at. He made the most out of his opportunities. I know he didn't have a ton of explosive runs, but when you look at how often he was used in short yardage, like Jake was saying, I think that plays a part. And just put on the guy's limited touches last year. He looks like he's shot out of a cannon every time he gets the football. So I'm with you, though, Pat. Like, out of all these guys in this range, like, David Montgomery, I hear you. I don't think there's a top 10 ceiling here. I think there is for Bhayshul Tuten being the running back, y'all, leading this Jaguars offense. So, again, top 20 for me. I got him ahead of TreVeyon, ahead of Skattebo, ahead of Montgomery. I do think he could be that round 5 running back where, the bad case would be kind of what I talked about with Bucky. Chris Rodriguez gets the short yardage work. LaQuint Allen Jr. gets more pass down work than we're expecting. But if things go right for Tuten, they're going right in a major way.
Well, you get the upside of Bucky Irving with a few picks to play with, Jake. He's going slightly later than Bucky Irving.
Yeah, and the good news here is that for all the talk that could be a full-blown committee is that LaQuint Allen's name has barely been mentioned this offseason, so I don't even really think he's going to be much of a factor, is that this may be more of a timeshare than anything. The only thing I will say, and you kind of brought it up, we've all echoed it, is that huge ceiling. There is a lot of risk with this. If it ends up even just a 50-50 split in this range, you're going to be hurting with your pick. It's just don't make Tuten your RB2 and then ignore running back until round 10 after that, because then you're going to be in a tough spot.
So the conversation, since we all like Tuten so much, is it that he's better or worse than DeAndre Swift at the top of tier 4, or is he secretly the back end of tier 3 with Josh Jacobs and Kyron Williams?
I can't get that
tier. Yeah.
So Tuten over. So would you go DeAndre Swift or Tuten?
Swift.
That's Swift.
No, I was going to go with Tuten. Never mind. Etienne or Tuten?
Etienne.
Jesus, really?
That's it.
So Jake, for you, Skattebo or Tuten?
Skattebo.
Tuten.
All right, so Tuten for me. So that's where he's going to go. Is number 3 in tier number 4 after Swift, Etienne, Tuten, then Skattebo, then David Montgomery. Is Chris Rodriguez a part of this tier? I say no.
No.
Is Gainwell a part of this tier?
No.
Is Stevenson?
No.
Is Bucky Irving?
No.
Is TreVeyon Henderson?
Yes.
I think Bucky and TreVeyon probably are. I'm fine kicking Bucky out.
All
Bad
right,
vibes, Bucky. Get him out of here.
Bad vibes. Bucky's going down to tier 5. He'll be the king of tier 5 as we continue.
Bye, bad vibes, Bucky. How many B's we can get in there?
We'll throw this one out too, just to kick it off. David Montgomery or Tony Pollard?
Montgomery.
Pollard was kind of good down the stretch.
Pollard also is, it needs wins. Pollard was close to, I think he was like 17 points per game in wins and 7 in losses. I mean, we really think that the Titans are even going to be 8 and 9?
No, probably not. He is going as running back number 29, as low as 86, as high as 70 right now. So that is firmly in the 7th round afterwards in 12-team redraft leagues. Okay, maybe I phrased that the wrong way, which is better. Are they similar versions of the same guy?
Sure. Like I would take Pollard over both Steelers running backs as of today because it's Dable. And if he comes in and treats them with 65% of the work, even in the losses, we've seen Spears, and Spears has barely flashed at this point. We keep asking for more, but it really just comes down to if Dable kind of treats him as his lead option, and his lead option includes what he wouldn't stop doing with Singletary, which is using him at the goal line. And I don't think the Titans are going to be putting up a billion touchdowns this year, but if he is the goal line option as well, then yeah, there's upside for RB2, but I think that's where he's capped, is still as an RB2.
Spears,
I think Pollard's washed, man. Even the 3 games where he was good, it was like this weird random Titans-Browns shootouts. They got to play the Chris Okuda, whatever that backup quarterback on the Chiefs name is, and they got good game script there. And they got that 49ers decimated defense. Last season, next-gen stats, Mark Andrews and J.K. Dobbins hit a faster top speed than Tony Pollard. This dude is just not even close to the same talent that we used to have. Yeah, he's run for 1,000 yards in 4 straight years. Great. What'd that get him last year? An RB 30 finish in PPR points per game. And that was with a different coaching staff, man. So Spears is going to take the pass down work. And honestly, like Nicholas Singleton is one of these guys where I wouldn't be surprised in a down year for a Titans offense and team that we expect to suck. They say in week 13, let's see what the rookies got.
So, I actually think it might be earlier than that.
So you think that Nicholas Singleton might be the pick here in the last round if you're going to invest, if you're looking for someone late who has a path to becoming a starter on one of these teams, you pass on Pollard, you pass on Spears, and just take Nicholas Singleton, who currently is going at pick number 250.
Sure. Yep, 100%. He's very much like a Tevin Coleman type.
Yeah, I'm very fine with like my last 6, 7 picks in a redraft league just being all running backs. Because again, those wide receivers 60s through 70s, other than Jerry Jeudy, of course. They're just seldom going to hit and stuff. So as much as, we had the great Darius Slayton versus Cooper Kupp debate last year, like Jake did bring up a good point where you just don't know when you're going to be able to start those guys. So give me the running back where, no, they're not going to give you anything weeks 1 through 3, but they are like an injury or at least a decent coaching decision away from actively being someone we can now get excited about starting.
Pollard or bad vibes Bucky?
Bad vibes Bucky.
Rhamondre or Tony Pollard?
Rhamondre.
Kenneth Gainwell or Tony Pollard?
Gainwell.
I got Pollard, but
I have Pollard too, so that's where he's going to go. He'll go after Rhamondre. And Spears probably isn't considered as a part of any of these tiers, so we'll leave him to the side for now. Jadarian Price is up next. One of the favorites for Rookie of the Year. How long until Charbonnet comes back?
Possibly never.
Could be like November, late November even.
I was gonna say that the typical timeline is late November. So does he come back at all? And I know, again, we're at that point of the season. There's another one. We got positive news about Charbonnet's potential to be ready earlier this season, and we're still not talking about Bucky Irving. So that just, again, to paint that picture of how positive things are this time of the year. I don't believe it. I think that Charbonnet even coming back ahead of schedule might even be better for Price and the other people in the backfield because he's going to come back and not be himself. And then they're going to be like, how do we put this guy on the field? And I don't see a path to Charbonnet being a factor unless it's like the end of the season in December and just Wilson, Price, and everybody just bombed on this team.
Yeah, 2-week winner from a year ago, Emmanuel Wilson, now backing up in Seattle along with George Holani. I think if I was going to invest in this offense, especially with the price point that like Charbonnet is going at pick number 135, Price is running back 26, as high as 57, as low as 68. It's funny, he's sort of the opposite split of what we saw in David Montgomery on ESPN and CBS and Yahoo. He's actually going a whole lot higher than he is in these high stakes leagues, Ian.
If you have an IR spot, like I think Charbonnet is a great pick, way down the board because, you just then pick up another, pick up a Nicholas Singleton or someone like that as soon as you put Charbonnet on the IR. That's kind of the group of guys he'll probably be going with anyway. So I don't know, though, guys. This feels to me like classic fantasy football July overthinking things. We had I forget what beat reporter it was, say, oh, no, they want to use a rotation. No, yeah, so the guy they just spent a literal first-round pick on isn't going to be getting the rock. And I know it's the Seahawks. We saw the Chris Carson stuff over the years and Rashad Penny. Like, I am old enough to remember all of that. But Jadarian Price is freaking explosive, man. I know he didn't catch a lot of passes at Notre Dame, but when you're playing with Jeremiah Love and you got dual threat quarterbacks, like he didn't drop any passes either. So I even looked him up, guys. I think like his last year in high school, he caught 40 or 50 passes. So look, I think Jadarian Price is really freaking explosive, and we have the lead running back for a team that was just top 5 in scoring, has a badass defense, and we think it's going to be pretty good. I got him up there with TreVeyon, even ahead of this tier we're currently in right now.
So, okay, that's interesting. How about you, Jake? Because I was not as bullish. That's a better bull case than I was ever going to make for Jadarian Price, because I would probably just rather invest in his backups in the later rounds. But would you go TreVeyon, Henderson, or Price?
I would go Price. I have Price in the conversation of Judkins and Skattebo. Everything like Ian stole so much of what I was going to say. And so I'll add the one aspect of this is the comparison that a lot of people, including myself, made for Price was Raheem Mostert, because he hits that hole, the stretch runs, and goes. What is this offense? It's stretch zone running. And that's part of the reason that like Walker was able to do things, Charbonnet was able to do things. I'm not taking the talent away from them. I'm just saying this is like a perfect marriage of skill versus offensive style for what Price does. And if you watch Price at Notre Dame, we saw that. That's how they used him when he was on the field in that offensive line. And he is a better pass catcher than people think. Is he of Price's ilk? Absolutely not. But that's why. And Price was taking everything. Love was taking everything. But yeah. I think, yes, Price could get, 20, 30 receptions. I'm not going to put him in the 40, 50, 60s or whatever, but enough to chip in there where I think he's in the conversation of those other running backs, and that's where he deserves to be, not where he's being drafted. So I'm with Ian. I'm drafting tons of Price so far.
Jake, Skattebo or Price?
I have Price just in front of him. I trust the Seahawks more.
Ian?
Price one spot ahead. Yep.
So Tuten or Price?
Got Tuten.
I have Tuten.
I have Price barely, but I'm okay with Tuten.
All right, so Price is going to slot in right there between Tuten and Cam Skattebo in tier number 4. I'm surprised about that. I thought that we have RJ Harvey coming up next. That's your guy, isn't it?
Well, Pat, real quick, I remember the cool shit stat I brought up like last regular season where it's just, touchdowns, explosive plays, tackles avoided on your touches. Number 1 among all the draft eligible running backs was freaking Jadarian Price. Wasn't even close. People are going to love this guy once they actually see him in work.
So is it going to be like Henderson, blocks everyone who comes his way and then he gets to the NFL and can't do it?
I don't know. 100%. I hope not.
RJ Harvey coming in right now. We'll try to find the perfect spot for him. He's going as running back number 31, as low as 108, as high as 66. I think that is the biggest discrepancy we've seen between sites and the sentiment around RJ Harvey. And I don't even know which one of those I agree with more, Ian.
I want to hear Jake's bull case. I'll let you take the floor, Jake. Explain to me RB26. He's my RB40, so this better be good.
Better be good. I trust that RJ Harvey's talent, as in a split workload under Sean Payton, is going to be Alvin Kamara's workload similarities. And that's the thing, is I don't think he's Kamara's talent at all. Let me make that clear. Like, I would not put them on the same tier of their peaks, but that lead option still only probably being 50-55% of the work in the passing game. And I know that J.K. Dobbins ate up the first half of the season, but I think they brought back J.K. Dobbins more of a necessity than versus we're going right back to using him at the clear lead, 60% of the workload until we throw him into the wall and get him hurt in week 6 again. So I think that is this Sean Payton, what Sean Payton does. He uses multiple running backs, 3 running backs, Jonah Coleman or whoever it might be, whether it's anybody down this roster. There's going to be frustration here. You're not going to get consistency out of RJ Harvey. But if and when J.K. Dobbins, more the when than if, that J.K. Dobbins gets hurt, we saw Harvey be able to be a fringe RB1 down the stretch. And even at times, it was frustrating. We expected more. But I think that RJ Harvey, in this range, I would put him in the same conversation of saying, you know what? If things break right, there's a similarity ceiling of Tuten, but I don't think he gets the 300 touches. So that's all it comes down to, is that's why I have him. Just because if I'm drafting today, I feel better than trying to figure out what's going on with the Buccaneers. I feel better than trying to figure out what's going on with the Steelers. I feel better about the Carolina guys. So about him than the Carolina guys. And I just don't think Jonah Coleman is going to be a huge factor, mostly because he plays for Sean Payton until next year.
Jonah Coleman, Ian, the best Jewish running back of all time.
I have to see the full leaderboard.
I was going to say, what's the full list? Is it like Jonah Coleman, the end?
You know what? I don't even think I hear the name Jonah Coleman. I think those are 2 very Jewish names. I don't think this guy's Jewish. That's what I'm throwing out.
My problem with RJ Harvey, Like it's like that meme from Dexter, like that real skeptical black dude who's like in his car, like wondering what's going on. Whenever I see any player in their highlights from last season are almost entirely against the Bengals and or Cowboys, I'm a little bit skeptical about if we're actually seeing a good talent or not. Because that's all we had from RJ Harvey until Dobbins got hurt down the stretch and the whole backfield was his. But with Jonah Coleman now being this 220-pound potential short yardage back and being one of the best running backs in the class in pass protection, 80+ career receptions, I think it could be this muddled 3-down mess, or more likely, it is the J.K. Dobbins show. Before he got hurt, it was 164-75 touches. It was nowhere near a split backfield. It was RJ Harvey giving Dobbins his water bottle on the sidelines when he was finally tired. So, look, I don't think Dobbins is necessarily a great pick. Let's face it, we've been chasing these Alvin Kamara and Darren Sproles ghosts for 3 years now. Sean Payton's running backs in Denver have been RB31, RB37, and RB24, and Harvey was only that high because of the Dobbins injuries. So I don't even think with Coleman in there that we can say Harvey's this great handcuff option, because it'd probably be split between them. So where I'm wrong is if he does just go out there and manage to find a way to catch 60, 65 passes and stuff. But I don't see this offense revolving around him, man. He brought in Jalen Waddle. I'm not in on RJ Harvey, if you can't.
I think that's the two differences, Pat, is that like I don't think that Coleman's a real factor in my opinion. But the second part is I don't want to just gloss over the fact that he couldn't think of James Doak's name. Like, dude, the guy in the car looking at you don't know James Doak's name from Dexter?
I never watched Dexter. I never watched Dexter. I appreciate the meme though.
I watched Dexter for what was it, like 15 years ago. When did that show come out?
I don't know. I did, to be fair, recently, but I think everybody knows James Doak's name because he was the one that knew. He was right the whole time.
Isn't it concerning, though, when we have two running backs in the same system? And in Harvey's case, like you would think that's someone who's in their defenses are like, all right, probably more of a pass-first situation. Dobbins averaged 5 yards per carry. Harvey was at 3.7. Every single rushing stat tells us this dude sucked last year.
Let's rank him. Let's see where we can put shitty RJ Harvey in the rankings. Would you go David Montgomery or RJ Harvey?
Montgomery.
TreVeyon,
every person we've talked about, I have over Harvey.
So we're putting him behind Chris Rodriguez.
No.
Oh, no. You got one.
Bucky or RJ Harvey?
Bucky.
Rhamondre or RJ Harvey?
Rhamondre.
I would go Harvey. I would chase the ceiling.
I think I will stick with Rhamondre. That means RJ Harvey or Tony Pollard.
Harvey over Pollard.
Okay. Where does J.K. Dobbins go? Is he on this list? Like, where is he ahead? Let's go Kenneth Gainwell or J.K. Dobbins.
Gainwell.
I think I would go Dobbins as well. I just feel like if Ian's right, then the upside for Dobbins, I feel like, is substantially higher than it is for Gainwell. Gainwell is a part-time player. He's always been a part-time player. Mm-hmm. That, frankly, he's not that different than RJ Harvey, is he?
Like, it really comes down to, I could be completely wrong in this. I don't know that Dobbins is a clear bona fide lead at this point.
All right.
What'd they give him $16 million for?
Hey, the Raptors.
It's not a true $16 million, though.
The Raptors just re-signed Kyle Lowry to a one-day contract. Maybe it's like one of those.
They were talking about, though, apparently the Jaguars were kind of in on Dobbins, but the Broncos made him like a priority to bring back. So it's a shame, man, because Dobbins coming out of Ohio State, just freaky athlete. And obviously nowadays,
I love the talent. Do you know how many seasons that he's played a full year or had 200 carries?
0.
He's not dead, though, man. Like, I was bringing up some of that next-gen stats. J.K. Dobbins last year, faster recorded speed than Chase Brown or Travis Etienne. That happened.
That's cool. Talk to me where he runs the 100 in the Olympics.
Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks.
It was that good, but
Brooks is actually going. I mentioned the FFPC. Like, Brooks is actively going ahead of Chuba now in some of these drafts, which is crazy. But Chuba is like the Cortland Sutton of running backs, where I'm in a draft and I look at who I have ranked next, and it's Chuba Hubbard or Cortland Sutton. And then I just go back to my ranks and move them down more because I just do not want to draft these dudes, man.
So overall, if we go across the sites, Hubbard is going as running back number 28. Brooks is going as running back number 38. But you're right. There are certain sites where Brooks is now going at a higher peak and average than Chuba Hubbard. You talk about the best shape in your life, all positive news. That's the Jonathan Brooks like Twitter mafia over the past 3 weeks. Like, oh yeah, you know what was better than having 1 knee surgeries, Ian? 2.
I will say, shout out to Dr. Jeff Mueller, a real doctor out here, not me cosplaying as one. In his medical professional opinion, apparently he doesn't see it as 2 ACL tears. He's viewing the first procedure as failed, and the second procedure was significantly stronger and should allow him to return to form. He's still only 22 years old. We saw Rico Dowdle snatch Chuba's chain last year, so it's like a less flimsy, I would say, starting job than normal. I can't get in the Brooks over Chuba bandwagon, but I do think when you're starting to kind of go down this list and you get into the handcuffs, like Brooks is one of those guys who actually could take over the backfield. Like, it's not just an injury scenario.
But Brooks isn't being drafted as a handcuff. He's being drafted as almost flex range right now. That if you're drafting Brooks at where he's going, like I said, as high as 82 or 85 on some of these sites, Jake, it's a guy that you expect to play at some point, not, hey, I hope I can play him. It's no, like he needs to kind of be good and I need to play him.
Well, and that's the thing. I think the question here is, and let's not forget, Nick Chubb had multiple knee surgeries and still looked like Nick Chubb until some point towards the end of his career. So I'm not so worried about the knee. It's just the question of, is Jonathan Brooks, let's also say, like, even if the knee is healthy, like it's 100%, but is that 100% of the Brooks we knew? Is that 100% of the Brooks that we expected to see coming out of college? Is it Brooks looks anything like the RB1 he can be in real life? Because even at 100%, is that not what the 100% used to be? Is he more of like he lost some explosiveness? So I think that's where I agree with Ian. Is like where Brooks, I think, could take the job if everybody's healthy. Like he's 100%. His talent is better than Chuba Hubbard. He could take the job. Yeah, he can take our jobs. Like he could take it, and he could take it by week 5 just by being healthy. But when you start taking him over Hubbard and you start taking him as a top 35 running back, you're kind of taking him with that expectation that it's going to definitively happen. And now you've basically bought all the risk in this scenario.
So let's start here as it pertains to the rankings. Hubbard or Brooks?
Canadian Chuba.
What'd you say, Jake?
I said Hubbard.
Okay, so Hubbard over Brooks. Now let's insert Hubbard here. Would you go Hubbard or Tony Pollard?
Pollard.
Hubbard. I don't love it though. I don't want either of these guys.
Hubbard or J.K. Dobbins?
Chuba.
Wow. I would go Chuba in that spot.
I hate Chuba Hubbard.
I will throw Chuba in there. Let's throw Jonathan Brooks in now. Would you go Dobbins or Jonathan Brooks?
Dobbins.
Oh, I have Dobbins legitimately in one spot.
Well, then he's ahead. So the answer is Dobbins.
But it's kind of like what team you're building. I kind of like if I'm drafting my 5th RB at this point or something.
Well, you can go to rotowire.com, get Ian's cell phone number, run your draft by him, and he can customize the rankings for the draft while you're doing it in progress. That will be helpful. Is that a feature you're offering now?
Oh my God.
Yeah. 24/7 cell phone service.
I was going to say, do you remember, Pat, when they tried that in the industry with that you text from a secret cell phone number and you actually got it on your phone and were supposed to respond to it? Some companies tried that. I was like, no, I'm not doing that one.
We tried that at Roto Experts when we were there, Jake.
I was trying to not mention the company.
Look, it's out of business now. Yeah, they came to me. I was like, yeah, that's a hard no for me, dog. Not doing that.
You put at 2 o'clock in the morning with your phone going on.
Listen, it worked out. I mean, that if there was one thing the king could do, that was it. Like, I got nothing, nothing going on all day. Text that guy. He'll tell you what to do in the draft.
You mentioned Jonah Coleman among Jewish running backs. How about Chuba among Canadian running backs? He's got to be on the Mount Rushmore, the Canadian equivalent to that
other Carolina legend, Tim Biakabatuka, is like number 1 in that.
Oh, fuck that guy. He went for like 300 against Ohio State back in the day.
I think he's Canadian. Tim Biakabatuka. No, he's American. I swear to God.
Oh, no.
I always thought he was Canadian. Yeah, he went to high. He was born. Okay, so he was born in Zaire, but he grew up playing football in Quebec.
Here you go. Okay. I have your entire list.
Chuba Hubbard,
Andrew Harris,
Chase Brown.
Thank you. I was saving him for last.
Chase Brown's
Jamal
probably
Robertson
number 1.
And Ruben Mays. Yeah,
it was not good.
Wow.
Jesse Lumsden, who quit. He got
1986 Rookie of the Year. Ruben Mays.
That's not bad.
Ooh. Saskatchewan.
Trying to think who the best Canadian player has been in some time. The guy who played defense in that Bears dynasty. in like the Bears defensive dynasty when they went to the Super Bowl with Grossman. Donajay, I think his last name was. He played for
Bronco Nagurski.
Is Bronco Nagurski Canadian?
Apparently, that's what AI's telling me.
AI, I don't know if AI knows or AI doesn't know. Yeah, Tim Biakabatuko.
Oh yeah, Bronco was born in Rainy River, Ontario.
Look at that.
Oh wait, Mark Rippon, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Calgary, Alberta.
Ooh.
Really? That was just like Jerome Pathon. He was Canadian.
Oh well, we
Remember
have the
him?
winner. We can end the show on this one.
I feel like Canada's got more basketball players. That's their
Mike Vanderjack. Is
Yeah,
from Ontario.
everyone knows the drunken kicker is Canadian, Jake. He's a national legend. I believe he started in the CFL.
Wait, Nate Burleson was from Alberta?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Burleson's
I love
there.
some
Yeah,
of that
Jerome
blue.
Pathon, the guy who plays for the Titans, A.O. Minor, he's from Alberta. A lot of Alberta receivers. The wide receiver factory, Alberta, Canada. It's a big problem.
Eddie Murray, 21 NFL seasons, Nova Scotia.
That's where I'm at. That's where you're going to go.
I was going to say, your neck of the woods.
Yeah, well, I just remember Jerome Pathon played for the Saints, but he also played for Acadia University in the CIS, in Canadian college football, before getting signed, I believe. So there we are. There's your Canadian content update. So Jonathan Brooks, Kenneth Gainwell or Jonathan Brooks?
Gainwell.
Brooks.
Do we decide on Dobbins? Because I think I'd rather have Brooks than Dobbins.
Dobbins over Brooks barely.
I have Dobbins.
All right, so it's Dobbins over Brooks, but Brooks over Gainwell is where we're at. How about Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren in Pittsburgh now? What do you think the split is going to be there, Ian?
I think it's going to be 50-50. And Dowdle, I have these guys actually. I have Warren 27, Dowdle 28. As you said, Pat, that's kind of the industry code for when you rank two guys right next to each other. We don't know, but when you look at the ADP, everyone does act like they know and they think it's Jalen Warren. So I love Jalen Warren. He can show all these awesome advanced stats. I show how good he's been, but we also now have 5 years of Najee Harris and even Kenneth Gainwell preventing this dude from getting a full-time role. Mike McCarthy, bringing his old friend Rico Dowdle, bringing his old RB coach, who is also a Rico Dowdle, I do think matters. So seemingly the few breadcrumbs we've gotten, and Jake, I'd love for you to fact check me here, but from what I've seen from beat reporters is that they're expecting something of a split. And there was even something, I think, as recently as yesterday, saying that Dowdle should be more of the early down guy. And I'm also not convinced that Jalen Warren is going to be the pure undisputed pass down back. Last 2 years, 33 games played each, including the playoffs. Jalen only has 5 more PPR points from receiving than what Rico's done. So once McCarthy referred to Rico as a bowling ball butcher knives was, I think, the way he eloquently put it. So Rico, man, we've seen him do it in multiple systems. I want both these guys really because old man Rodgers, Steelers running backs, were second in targets last year. The dude just doesn't want to get hit, which I don't blame him. He's 42 years old at this point. So anytime there's anything pressure, any close to him, he's dumping the ball down, and we'll take that all day in PPR land. So one of my favorite things has just been trying to get one of the Steelers running backs in almost any draft I'm in.
2 things here, Jay. One, Jalen Warren is going running back number 27, as high as 68, as low as 83. And if we go down to Rico Dowdle, as high as 83, as low as 96 at running back 32. So my research project, I don't know if anyone's ever written this. If they had, and this is an article that I wouldn't read, but I would retweet it if one of you guys wrote it. So if you do want to do it, then I would share that shit around with everybody. But if you have these certain situations, even if you look back over the past 10 years or so, where you get these split backs and you assess it by ADP, where everyone just kind of ranks them back to back, not knowing which is which. Is there a certain way you should go? Like, how more beneficial is it to take, let's say, even between Jonathan Brooks and Hubbard is another one you could throw into the situation. Just taking the guy later, how often does that work out for you? And you save the draft capital.
Well, and that's the appeal. Like, we think off the top of our heads, I agree with, like, I would just take the cheaper option. I have them lower. I have them back to back at 32 and 33. I think that Dowdle is a slightly better fit in Mike McCarthy's offense. Mike McCarthy also had him from Dallas and could have had an injury goodbye and still gave him a contract and then brought him over essentially to the Steelers, which tells us a lot about what he thinks about him. But also, what have the Steelers told us for an entire career of Jalen Warren? They don't want him to be the lead. Like, every time you turn around, the one aspect where you can point in Warren's favor is that we joke about old man Rodgers. What does Warren do really well? Like, this is one aspect where we have a career to point to and say that Warren is a terrific pass blocker and Dowdle has actually struggled in pass blocking. So if you point to that with the third downs and maybe he sees more field work, but maybe, Dowdle sees some improvement this offseason under McCarthy again, and he can get that. All that being said is that's why I have him back to back, because I agree with Ian, the 50-50 split. And then what your point being, Pat, because Dowdle is going at least a round or two later, I'm taking Dowdle every single time and not Warren.
So let's throw them in here. Would you go Dowdle or Tony Pollard?
Dowdle. I'm crazy.
I think I would go Dowdle over Pollard too. RJ Harvey or Rico Dowdle?
Oh,
Harvey.
not even close.
I will take Harvey in that spot. So I'll throw Dowdle in between Harvey and Tony Pollard. They're kind of like the same guy, aren't they? But one guy is 10 years younger. I have no idea how old Rico Dowdle is. It feels like he's been around forever. It could be like 4 years.
It does. I'm going to guess 27.
He's 28.
He's 28.
It also now feels like Jaylen Warren has been around forever.
I'm actually kind of curious.
He's probably about that same age.
Year 4, year 5 for Jaylen Warren. So would you go Jaylen Warren or Tony Pollard?
Warren.
Pollard.
I would go.
We usually see, in Pittsburgh, Warren and Gainwell are both top 24 running backs. This happens on average about 2 times per year, and I think it could be happening here again. They're just going to divide it up, and I can see both running backs having 50-plus targets.
All right,
here's my real answer. I'm not drafting any of these guys. The only one of this group that we've talked about is basically Dowdle because he's going so much cheaper.
So would you, if just in pure rankings, who would you rank above? Would you go Rico or would you go Warren?
I got Warren.
I have one spot back to back just in case, because if Warren gets 55%, I think it'd be better than Dowdle's 55%, just barely.
Okay, so we'll go Warren ahead of Dowdle. So few quick names here, just kind of run through. We have 2 more starting opportunities, and then we'll try to figure out what's going on with some of these backups. We got Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Any hot takes on these guys in Minnesota?
Mason, I think Aaron Jones might be done. They also, I'm not scared of Claiborne as in like, oh my God, he's taking his job. But Aaron Jones' benefit is the pass game of that side of the split. And if he is kind of donezo, then Claiborne is coming for the pass catcher. He's not coming for the lead option. So I would take Mason, and I have 0 Aaron Jones so far.
Who do you have?
Yeah,
higher in. Yeah,
I was drafting more Aaron Jones earlier, but recently Matthew Collar, in my opinion, one of the best Vikings insiders out there. He said that he actually thinks it's going to be Jordan Mason on early downs, Aaron Jones more so as a pure pass down specialist than what we saw last season when he was wearing down. Damon Claiborne potentially eating some into that. I think Mason could again be one of these guys with a decent post-hype year, because we have seen these dual threat quarterbacks like Kyler help open up running lanes, and Kyler isn't in the Josh Allen or the Jalen Hurts mode where he's really vulturing too many touchdowns near the goal line. Vikings were tied for the 5th fewest rush attempts inside the 5-yard line last year. Like, it was not a very good offense. So if this can just get back to being the above average scoring group that we've seen KOC have, Jordan Mason might be Dave Montgomery, but like 4 rounds cheaper.
Jordan Mason or J.K. Dobbins?
Dobbins.
Jonathan Brooks or Jordan Mason?
Brooks.
Okay, I'm going to go Brooks as well.
I don't have Brooks.
Gainwell or Jordan Mason?
Mason.
Gainwell.
Yeah, I'll say Mason, so we'll throw him in there. Is Aaron Jones rank above any of those guys?
No. I actually have RJ Harvey ahead of Aaron Jones. How about that?
Okay, there we are. How about
Monangai? I have Aaron Jones down by Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah, we're in that range. Would you go Monangai or Aaron Jones?
Monangai.
Yeah. Rodriguez or Aaron Jones?
Jones.
Aaron Jones barely.
Okay.
I agree.
Let's now just kind of run through some of the backups where we would have them. Blake Corum, we spoke about in part 1. Again, you can find that down in the show notes. Click on over there. Is he Monangai or Blake Corum?
Oh my God! I got them right next to each other, but I got Corum ahead. I think Corum, Monangai are probably the top 2 handcuffs in fantasy, and Rico. Those would be like my top 3 handcuffs in fantasy football, probably.
So would you take Monangai or Corum over the Tony Pollards and Chuba Hubbards and Jonathan Brookses of the world? Or are they still after those guys?
Not quite. I have it Pollard. I have it Chuba 30, and then Pollard, Dobbins, Corum, Monangai, Brooks, White, Mason. Yeah, Rashad White. That's something we got to talk about.
Oh, yeah. He's next. So, Jake, for you, would it be Jordan Mason or Blake Corum?
I would actually go Corum. I got Monangai in front of Corum because I think there's a chance that Monangai could take the lead, where I think Corum is going to continue to be 40% of the work. So
okay, so that slots in Corum after Jonathan Brooks is where he would be in these rankings that we've put together. That makes sense? Yes. Barkley agrees?
Oh, that's actually Ziggy at this point. That's what we might want to wrap up soon.
All right.
Lose their mind.
Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt and Rashad White. Who is the actual starting running back on this team?
We don't know, but they're like, Ian, go ahead. Talk with your boy Rachaad White. I saw your tweet.
Man, this dude's got the third most catches among RBs over the last 3 years. And I've seen some people try to use that against him, I guess, but I don't know, man. Bill is fine and everything. Once again, though, watch those highlights and you're getting, a bunch of nice runs against the Cowboys in week 17 when Chris Rodriguez, was a late scratch on Christmas with an illness. So I just think as fine as Bill was, Rachaad White, I feel like he's the running back where when you ask him, to get 4 yards to the B gap, he's doing exactly that. Bill's maybe bouncing outside for 15 yards, or he's also getting tackled for -5. So Rachaad White, we got the Arizona State connection with Jaden Daniels. They're bringing in Ayuk. The band's getting back together here. I just think, again, in these uncertain backfields, like it's pretty similar to the Cowboys last season. Rachaad White could be this year's Javonte Williams, or he's Rachaad White. But, RB10 in 2023, and even with Bucky in 2024, White was still a low-end RB2. So it's not like this dude has never given us good numbers. Very, very cheap. And in these uncertain backfields, we should be trying to take shots on him.
Although we have Sean Mannion in his OC and not Cliff Kingsbury, Jake, Jaden Daniels loved throwing to Austin Eckler when Austin Eckler was healthy. So if you do have a primary pass catcher, that guy is going to be on the field, it feels like.
I think that's the bigger thing is that, like, if you're chasing an uncertain backfield and you do have a clear pass catcher in this scenario, then give me that guy, and that's Rachaad White, and everything you just said with the Daniels situation.
And in that Tampa mix, Rachaad White, no stranger to goal line carries either. Even when he wasn't in on a series, we're like, yeah, get in there, Rachaad, go get a touchdown. That's helpful. So these are the last two that we'll rank: Jaylen Warren or Rachaad White.
Warren.
Dowdle or White.
Dowdle.
Pollard or White?
Pollard.
Hubbard or White?
Chuba.
Hubbard.
Dobbins or White?
Dobbins, barely.
Dobbins, but just again, if the first preseason game happens and Rachaad White plays 9 of 10 snaps with the starters, like I have White probably over all these guys.
He'll rise. I think that's the biggest thing is we're also factoring there could be a third option in that Commander's backfield.
Brooks or White?
Brooks 1 spot ahead.
All right, so we'll throw in Rachaad White above Blake Corum. That makes sense?
I would go Corum.
All right, so not there. Monangai or Rachaad White?
Monangai.
Jordan Mason or Rachaad White?
Mason.
Rachaad White.
I'll go Rachaad White there as well. Does Ja'Cory Krosky-Merrick go ahead or behind Kenneth Gainwell?
Everybody we've said.
Behind even Chris Rodriguez?
No. We're just in front of Chris Rodriguez.
All right, so
I got Bill ahead of Harvey. Of course.
Where is it that you have him ranked 40 what?
97.
RB 40, yeah.
All right, so to recap what we have done today, we built out tier 4, 5, and 6 of the running back rankings. We'll call all the rest of these guys tier 5 unless you guys want to have a discernible break. I went over the beginning of the show where we did the tiers, but starting with tier 4, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, Bhayshul Tuten, Jadarian Price, Cam Skattebo, David Montgomery, Quinshon Judkins, TreVeyon Henderson. That's tier 4. Tier 5, bad vibes, Bucky Irving leads it off. Rhamondre, RJ Harvey, Ian's guy, Jaylen Warren, Rico Dowdle, Tony Pollard, Chuba Hubbard, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Brooks, Blake Corum, Kyle Monangai, Rachaad White, Jordan Mason, Kenneth Gainwell, Aaron Jones, Bill Merritt, and Chris Rodriguez are where we got to. That sound good?
Sure.
Yeah, I see when we don't agree, despite the fact that we voted on this stuff, this is where we want to be with rankings, I think.
I think it also just paints the picture of how uncertain this whole tier is. That's the real thing.
Well, it's just funny when I wax about all these good things about Rachaad White, and then I have to say, give me the other guy for 8 straight running back.
But you kind of sold me. That's why I went so high when I went with the names. Yeah, Ian sold me here. If Ian sold you, hit the description. Check out Ian's ranks at rotowire.com right now. You can get a discount on that link down there in the show notes. Ditto with Jake at theathletic.com. You can check out all of his work there and get the direct link down in the show notes right now. Thank you all for watching. Go check out Part 1 and Football Thursdays on the Pat Mayo Experience on Mayo Media Network. So sub now. We'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!